Welcome
to Leadcast. Let's go.
Intriguing.
Without delay.
Hello and welcome to episode 359 of the Leadcast podcast. I'm your host, Nick the King Cooper, and joining me is Colton Blue Basket Smith.
Hey, it's me. I'm here.
And not Aiden, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is today Boxing Day?
Today is Boxing Day, my dude.
Today is Boxing Day, which is a pretty important holiday, right?
For Canadians up north, yeah. I know he sent me a Snapchat of him with Trevor, which I think he's like an hour or two out at least. So I mean, he's spending time with family, enjoying the holiday season.
Yeah.
Not that we're not going to give him shit for it later, but he's not on the show this week, so we're not going to give him too much.
No, we're doing the solo dolo, but with two of us. So.
The two-man solo dolo.
Two-man solo dolo.
Misses the cue, hits the combo. Hey.
So, come 1v1 me with my fucking support.
Yeah, there we go. Dude, what are we going to talk about this week?
Hey, so this week we don't have any rising news, and there's no there's no mail fight. So we're gonna have a discussion about a Reddit thread that we saw, that both of us saw earlier, which should be pretty fun. In Metakaiser, we're gonna be talking about some of our favorite Nexus Blitz champs that we have played so far, or have seen, or have played with. We got several roundtable answers from last week and a good year-end roundtable question for this week, a cheese pick, and possibly an update to last week's cheese pick, and then a tiny bit of LCS news before we close out 2018.
Yeah, and then just a reminder for those that do like listening live, next week we will not be recording. Right?
Yes, next week, the first week of 2019. We're starting it off right by taking a week off, but we will be back the following week, which I believe is Wednesday, January 9th. So if you would like to listen to us live, we record generally about 6:30, 7:30 Eastern in our Discord every Wednesday. So you just have to find the appropriate time, and if you want, hop in. You're more than welcome to listen, and sometimes we are able to interact a little more on demand with those who are in the chat with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice when people are in like the chat, because they'll bring up like questions or comments, and like a lot of times it'll be just like things we didn't quite think about, and we can add that. Yeah,
or a perspective that we didn't have, because a lot of the times we're just spouting out stuff that, we all agree with. Mm-hmm. Which, an echo chamber is fine sometimes, but when you're trying to argue the merits of a certain change or something like that, it's difficult to get the right perspective when we all share similar ones. But being live helps. So before we get too far gone into the show, Colton, how was your past week?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. On let's see, Wednesday was the podcast, so that's the start. Mm-hmm. Thursday we played D&D. That was pretty fun. Mm-hmm. Our adventurers did some tests to get into an adventurers guild, and then picked up a new quest. And that's the thing that happened. And then Friday,
I realized that Chadwick is not specialized enough in anything.
Yeah.
To have participated in any of the tests.
I mean, I didn't
my rolls
make them
were all slightly lower
hard.
than everyone else. Yeah, I know, but everyone else had better rolls than me, so it didn't make sense for them to, to sit on the sidelines, which is fine.
I was gonna
something
end
I
it with like a group combat, but it was already taking pretty long, and I was just making stuff up at that point. So
we're not very good at moving through the non-combat portions.
No, that's the fun part, is like taking forever to get through those. Like, especially you guys are going to be coming up to a dungeon, and I just can't wait to see you guys just like sit there for like 5 minutes before entering a room, being like, "All right, guys, this is the plan," and then watching it all crumble.
Well, my character particularly has a special trait which does not lend itself well to plans. We'll put it that way.
Anyway, Friday, Alex, former host of Leaguecast, had a little Christmas party at his place. So he did a little gift exchange, hung out, had some food, played a couple games of Smash. It was all around a good night. Driving to and from Chicago is always a bit of a struggle, like 2 hours there, hour back, but not too bad. And then,
but you left you left pretty late at night, right? I always found that it's pretty enjoyable actually to drive from Chicago late at night.
It's not so bad.
For how huge the city is and how big the interstate is, it's pretty empty. Like, once you get to, I don't know, pretty early in the morning, like 1 or 2 a.m.?
Yeah, on the way back, and I think we left at like 11:30 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad, just like getting onto the highway is a little bit of a struggle, but like not bad.
Yeah, for sure. But that's just navigating a downtown area.
Yeah, and then Saturday, I hung out with some friends who are back in town. Saturday, hung out with some friends who are back in town. We went to hit up a couple bars, just hung out, talked, drank a decent amount. I didn't drive home, I'll say that.
Good.
And then Sunday, I played some D&D with some buddies of mine. That was fun. I got to be a player, not a DM.
Ooh, was it just a one-off?
It was like an official book dungeon. There's a published book of like 5 like historically like real good dungeons out there, and so it was one of those that we started, and it would probably take us like 4 or 5 sessions to actually clear the whole thing. But it was fun. We started level 1, so that was interesting. We killed a character that we were supposed to talk to because we snuck up on him so well. So that slowed us down a little bit. One of our party members died, but that's fine because it wasn't me. And then I don't
like permanently died.
Yeah, he did. Because he was. We were like level 1 characters still, and he took like a breath weapon from like a baby dragon for like 30 damage. Ooh. So it like killed. It dropped him below more than his max health and just instantly killed him.
Wow.
But yeah, and then that was about it. I've been building up a dungeon for you guys to do next week, and then that's most of my week. How about you?
Awesome. So I had work in that school, which is weird. But had a lot of time off, and coming back to work today actually was a bit of a challenge because a lot of my work is time sensitive, so I had a lot of catching up to do. I'm still not caught up. And the fact that I have a short week this week and a short week next week, and it's the end of the month when a lot of bills are due, is going to be a little rough, but we'll get through it. And I hung out with some friends this past Sunday. Played some Smash. I really enjoy how how Young plays in that game. So that's really nice. Link's not been good for a while, so
there you go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Played some Catan for the first time.
Did you like it? I feel like you probably wouldn't because it relies a lot on luck.
A lot on what?
On luck.
Actually, I was not very lucky. I'll put that out there now. However, I feel like my opponents were also not very lucky. I ended up winning, which is very strange because they didn't explain the rules to me. We kind of just started. So in the initial phase, everyone was placing down their settlements, and they didn't explain the rules to me to the degree that I tried to place my settlement adjacent to my first one.
Okay.
So I went into it very blind. Quickly figured it out. Quickly felt like I was already out of the game by turn 3. Was able to
claw your way back in there.
Team up with someone else who didn't know how to play, and I took the victory home for both of us.
Hell yeah! So you excited to play some Catan on tabletop?
I am actually. I really want to play some more.
Dude, I would play some with you tonight after we finish recording.
Hell yeah, dude! Let's do it.
We gotta get at least
scrounge up some. Yeah, let's scrounge up some dudes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. And I think I've been playing a ton of Nexus Splits, a metric ton of Dota 2, and I haven't been winning, but I've been having a really good time.
I heard they did a real big balance shift recently, didn't they?
They did about, I want to say like 2 months ago. They had one of their huge patches for the year, and it changed a lot of things. They've been moving towards like drastically changing characters in a way that feels more active. So there used to be a character called Anti-Mage, and hey, one of his abilities just gave him passive magic resistance, right? So because he's the Anti-Mage, it makes sense.
They just got rid of him.
Well,
they're just like, fuck this character. He's out of here.
The character still exists. Their character still exists, but they changed his ability. I'm not sure if it still gives passive magic resistance. I want to say that it might, but at a reduced rate. But they changed it to where the active is just the spell reflect. So not only is it a spell shield, it will cast the spell back at its original target, but only if it's a targeted spell. That'd be nuts.
I think it'd be really cool if there was like a spell reflect that was either like it'd have to be either non-ultimate or have a cap of damage sent back. Which I think it'd be really I think that'd be fine. Is if it like sent back half of the damage and had like a cap, or just like it sent back like half damage and was a spell shield and a reflect.
I think it would be. I think that ability is more balanced if you remove the spell shield aspect of it.
Okay, yeah.
And you're both affected by it.
You both take the damage.
Yeah. You both take the damage. You both take the CC. You both take the Malzahar ulti.
What if it was just like it got split between you, so it's half damage to both of you?
Okay, that'd be fine.
A little life link.
That'd be fine. Yeah. I still want to see a character like Rubik in League. Rubik's ultimate is that he steals the last spell cast of his target. Mm-hmm. So you can like, hey, that Orianna used her ultimate and didn't move the ball after that. Gimme. And you just reverse Oriulti them.
Gimme.
Which would be sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the talent change that they did to Dota 2 is one of the best MOBA changes ever, in my opinion. It is so fun to play that game and to hit a talent point and have your talents drastically change how your character works. Mm-hmm. Some of them are a little more boring, but then some of them are like, how is this allowed in the game? This is insane. So, real fun. But yeah, let's. I think that's it for my week.
Okay.
So,
you have a good
there's no news
Christmas
this week.
holiday?
I did. Oh yeah, let's talk about Christmas. So I guess I'll go first. I was very excited to give gifts this year, and everything went well. My sister had been asking for a new tablet, so I got her one of those. And I surprised my mother and grandmother with a Roomba, which I will say is one of the coolest things ever.
It's so fun, dude.
I didn't think I'd like it enough. I didn't think I'd like it that much, but you put it down and it just starts vacuuming everything, and it's like a little dumb toddler. It just bounces in everything and then turns itself around and it keeps going the other way.
You gonna put a fucking Bluetooth speaker on that thing?
It's actually probably
no
not.
DJ Roomba?
DJ Roomba.
I'm assuming you haven't watched Parks and Rec.
I haven't.
No, that's like an actual.
Or I have.
Yeah, that's a thing that Tom does. He puts a Bluetooth speaker on his Roomba and it just drives around like playing music. And he's DJ
That's
Roomba.
awesome. I've only seen it once, but
Okay.
that's hilarious. Yeah. But it was a really successful gift, which is rare for me. I feel like I'm not a very good gift giver.
All right.
So that was really nice.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, it was good. On Monday, Christmas Eve, I had to work till noon, but that wasn't too bad. And then I did Christmas at my girlfriend's family. Got some nice flannel shirts and some socks and some games, standard Colton things. Gave some gifts. I was pretty happy with the gifts I gave. As always, going into it, I'm like, yeah, I got great stuff for my girlfriend. And then she just like blew me out of the water. She's just a better gifter than me. So every time I'm like, yeah, I'm this year it's gonna be even, and I was like, nope.
You know what? I feel like that's a gift, maybe not a gift, a talent that a lot of women have. Additionally, I think women are very good at wrapping presents.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude! I can't figure that out. It does not make sense.
I learned a new way to wrap awkward things. So when I wrap actual straight up boxes, it's not great. It's fine, but it's not something you'd be like, oh, that was really well wrapped. It's just like, oh, that wasn't bad. I'm average.
Oh, it covered the entire box.
You know, it's like average, and it's like pretty tight, but it's not like crisp, clean corners and everything. You know. Mm-hmm. But like basically, you make like a little baggie out of the wrapping paper, and I did that for a bunch of like small gifts that I'm gonna give to some friends that I haven't seen them for like a Christmas thing yet. So probably in. Well, actually, like it's a lot of like TeamSpeak people that are going to be at New Year's, so they're all going to get these in my new wrapping method.
Ooh, awesome! You'll have to send a Snapchat.
Yeah. And then yesterday we did Christmas at my aunt's, and we played some like gift exchange type games. Had some real good food. And yeah, that was good.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
I guess let's get into the show then. Hey, there's no news this week. It's been pretty slow. But lots of discussion on the subreddit, and one of them is, does League of Legends have a problem with too much cooldown reduction? And then I wanted to piggyback off of that with, does League of Legends have have a mana problem as well? Do abilities not cost as much mana? Like, is there too much mana in the game? Is there too much CDR in the game? So I guess let's answer the question first. Is there too much CDR?
I think yeah.
I would tend to agree as well.
Because like, and again, based on just like the kind of point of the thread is like 40% is the max, and that should be like something that's difficult to get and like you strive for. But it's like, okay, build the standard AP item 20%. Take the 10% CDR rune, that's 30, and then either you can take one of the, like, you know, the 10% other rune, like, over levels, or you get just, like, an hourglass or something and you have 40%. Like, you don't have to really try for it. And I think it's too easy. Like, I would be fine if Lost Chapter was 5%, and then, like, when it got upgraded, it was 10. And, like, again, like, you should have to build towards cooldown reduction. I don't think you really have to right now.
Figured it out.
I think, like, I do think there is a CDR problem. However, I don't feel like it's that. I feel like the problem is pretty small. I don't think it's that big of a deal, with the exception of, I guess, one aspect, which we'll get into in a second. But I think, like, so there was a writer response in that thread, and he basically, you know, laid out, like, it's fun to cast spells, right? It's fun to actively participate in the game. And when you're playing a mage with pretty long cooldowns, you don't really get to actively participate unless your spells are up. Now, granted, that's not the healthiest thing for certain characters, and he claimed that he said himself it's not perfect, but it's probably better than the alternative.
I mean, but, like, they have... Right, like base cooldowns 1, and then like you shouldn't be able to always be casting things like all the time. There should be that distinction between the mages that do that and the mages that have to like weave in and out between cooldowns. And again, like I think the biggest point of it is like it's trending a lot more towards everyone's got lower cooldowns, got a faster combo, has quicker rotations. Like everything is just getting quicker, and it's not ever slowing down. And like the point is that, like, if this continues, Earth is going to be, like, the default game mode. Like, right? Like, that's the big claim. That's the, you know, the clickbait headline. But, you know, I think the game is definitely getting faster, especially in regards to cooldowns. And I think it takes away from a lot of what should be really big, impactful things in like, an odd way. Because... like, damage is another big thing, too, where I think damage has been ramping up for a while as well. And if damage is higher and cooldowns are lower, like, again, everything's just faster. Like, in lane, you don't get, like, well, you know, we traded 8 times with our full combo, and I hit 6 of mine, and he hit 5 of his. Like, no, I hit 2 combos, and they died. And I only had to wait 35 seconds to do that.
Yeah, I suppose so. I think, like, there are some exceptions to that. And recently, like, Nico, I believe her lowest cooldown spell is 7 seconds at 40% CDR. And I wouldn't say that's a very fast combo. And that's just for her Q. I believe her W and her E have much longer cooldowns. I think Pyke's cooldowns are pretty long. and he's a pretty recent champ.
They're not terribly long, and I think they're like a little bit better. But I mean, I think that the big issue is there's not like any real super impactful like long cooldown things. It's either like medium impact, medium cooldown, like high impact, low cooldown, or low impact, low cooldown. The high impact, high cooldown, I feel like is really missing and has been for a while. Like it's just like the Karthus, right? Like those are the old characters that have those real high impact, real high cooldown things. I'm trying to think of a more recent one that really applies to. That has something like that.
Maybe Kindred. I mean, I guess, I don't know how old she is at this point, but she seems like a relatively new character to me. And her ulti's like got that really long cooldown, high impact.
I guess that's still, yeah, I mean, I guess.
I realize it's not the same impact as like an Amumu or a Karthus, but you know, it serves a high impact purpose.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think like, again, those are ultimates, and then I'm trying to think of a good example for like a more basic ability, but that's tougher.
Okay. Yeah, it is tough without the list in front of me. Pardon my clicks while I pull up the champion list.
Yeah, I'm doing the same here, but I don't know. Like, I think things just have been getting faster and are, and it leaves some older champions kind of in the dust. Mm-hmm. And again, it speeds it up in a way that I think does, in a way, lower counterplay. Like there are good and bad things about it, but again, like I think the point is that they're trying to get across, which is what I'm more worried about. Is like it's a trend that has been going in this direction and doesn't seem like it's going to stop, and like it seems like it's going to keep getting faster.
So I think I would agree with you that it does seem to trend in a direction that is more fun for the player like for the person playing with high CDR versus playing against it. But I don't think that is so much of a problem as the second part of the question, which is mana. So I think that a larger aspect of the cast a bunch of spells as fast as you can problem is that none of them cost any mana.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it would be absolutely fine if mana costs reflected, you know, maybe not what they used to be, but certainly were increased to a degree of noticeability. You know, I shouldn't be able to cast my full combo 15 times in lane and just regen it all back, you know, within 2 or 3 waves. I feel like CDR is kind of a byproduct problem of there being too much mana, or there being not enough mana cost, I guess.
Yeah, right. Like not only are they up all the time, but like they're up all the time, and you can cast them every time they're up. So like if one of those got eliminated, and I think what you're saying is you're thinking mana is more the root cause of this issue, is that there's not a huge penalty on a lot of characters for just casting everything every time it's up.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, I would say the most common build for a mage right now is a single mana item, right? It's just Ludens, or it's just Seraphs, or it's just Rod of Ages. But I think more generally, it is just the Ludens. Everything else is going to be damage. Maybe it'll have a little cooldown reduction. But there's not too many actual mage items with mana. Mm-hmm. And what does that give you? Plus 500? Plus 600?
I think Ludens is 500. I think GLP might be 600. And then Seraphs is 1,000.
Yeah.
Or 1,250.
But it's like, that shouldn't be enough to last you the entire game.
Yeah.
Why? I think that's the biggest problem, is that you buy a single mana item. And granted, maybe I think early game mana costs are actually pretty fine. But late game, they just become... it's just gated by cooldown reduction and not mana. Mm-hmm. Every champion essentially becomes manaless after a certain point in the game.
Yeah, because like some characters it is, others I think like again because CDR is so easy to access, and there's really most builds. I guess talking solely with AP, but again even AD like. CDR is really easy to come by. AD items with mana don't really exist, besides Manamune.
But I feel like I go on 80 carry characters a lot. You know, playing Lucian, I can't leave a fight without blue buff, or honestly without blue buff without going out of mana.
But like, again, if you have like that really high cooldown and then, you know, only one mana, I think you can go on certain characters, or at least I find myself doing that sometimes. But I don't know, I feel like part of it's like that mid game, and then again, like I think it's a little bit character based, but there's also just I guess another part of this discussion is just the fucking prevalence of the mana-less and even like energy-less champions where they just have straight cooldowns, and like you can't have high mana costs against characters with no cost, because then no cost is just best.
Well, the way you counter that is by making no cost champions have pretty long cooldowns or very low impact abilities.
Yeah, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't, which is a problem, but I would say that's a mana problem versus a more general cooldown reduction problem. I think like it's strange to me that I think a large problem, a large aspect of this mana problem is that don't most abilities cost less when you level them up? So not only are they getting stronger,
Some do.
they
Some
take
scale
up less of your... Yeah, some scale up, which is probably how it should work. I mean, you trade the low mana cost for a higher mana cost, but a higher impact.
Yeah.
I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but in Dota, there are characters whose ultimate abilities cost 800 mana. You know, that's an investment into like one spell every 40 seconds.
And I think,
and I'm not saying that characters in League should have such huge mana costs, because it's a different game, like different numbers, but maybe every ability shouldn't cost 50 mana at max rank when everyone has 1,000, 1,500 mana.
I think another kind of like contributor to this issue that's like was the change to like base mana regen and how all that works, and like buying mana regen where it like modifies your base. Yeah. Because like you get your big mana pool, and mana regen's not so much a thing as you just have like this big pool. And then like you have Presence of Mind and a lot of mages, which used to be, part of the Athene's Unholy Grail you bought, is that, when you get a killer assist, you get a chunk of mana back. Yeah. And I'm a fan of that being on like a mana item. I think that has a better spot there, because like I don't enjoy the fact that the cooldown reduction is also tied to mana, because there's a lot of characters that don't need the mana but would love to have that cooldown reduction. And I think that mana problem is something more for mages typically. I guess it's nice that an AD carry can take Presence of Mind, but even then they normally don't.
Sure, because I mean, generally you're bringing Presence of Mind for the ultimate reduction rather than
other
the
than
actual mana regen. But there's not really there. I mean, there are exceptions, but there's not really game changing. I need my ultimate up 80 carries. Yeah.
So anyway, the point I was trying to get at is like, at this point, especially like again with just the current kind of pacing of the game, it's just like you get a big enough mana pool that you go back and refill it every couple minutes, and like you never really run out of it, and your mana regen doesn't matter that much. It's not about, oh well, I can just like conserve my spells one wave to get a decent sizable chunk of mana back. It's like, no, I'm just gonna push, reset, and like recall. And like mana regen, I feel like isn't even like a stat that matters. It's all about your mana pool. And again, like I feel like that's kind of how they changed it. And I don't know how they go back on that and like put mana regen into a lot of things. But I think like that would be kind of nice. And it's just like, even if you get items with mana regen now, it doesn't feel like you have high mana regen. Like you can get all of the potential mana regen items in the game, and you're like, wow, it feels like this is 50% more effective than just having a high mana pool.
Yeah, it feels like I have a portion of a blue buff.
Right? Yeah, where like you can't actually buy into high mana regen, really. Even if you do, you still don't get to like spam spells, whereas you get a blue buff and you're just like, I have infinite mana forever, haha. So I would like to see maybe some shifting in costs, and like addition of either like flat mana to some of the existing AP items, or like mana regen where you're buying into it. Like, and again, I think an easy way to do that is take out like Fiendish Codex on a couple items and replace it with like the Forbidden Idol, or if they made like some other variant out of it, because like
Aether Wisp.
Well, Aether Wisp builds out of the Aether Wisp is a spell tome into the movement speed.
It's the movement speed one. Add some movement speed onto the like make it unique, but add it onto an AP item or something like that.
Or like, so I feel like if they added a different item that built out of like Fairy Charm, that again gave mana regen and maybe not as much to your pool, I think that'd be cool. Like if maybe they made one that was like 2 Fairy Charms and an Amplifying Tome, and that built into like kind of a counterpart to Lost Chapter, where it might not be as much flat mana, but you get more mana regen. And again, you can kind of make that choice. I don't know. I just like mana is just weird because like you don't notice it until it's like fucking you, and like or if you're getting smashed by someone who's resourceless. I also think that like higher costs just across the board would be nice, even if they just like up the numbers for everything. Because I don't know how many times I've looked at someone's mana bar and it's like microscopic, and they still throw a full combo at me.
5%
They've
mana.
Got they have 5% mana and they full combo me, and I'm like, oh, I thought they were my bad, not realizing
Honestly,
their full combo costs 80 and mine costs 300.
The most frustrating one is like, in my opinion, that I've noticed numerous times. Nasus's Q costs 20 mana, but it's got a 2.5 second cooldown and does 700 damage. That character is never gated by mana.
I think like in a later game, I think early game he has some mana problems because like his W and E costs are high. But if he's just spamming Q, he doesn't really run out of mana.
Yeah, and that's like, I don't know. I feel like that shouldn't work that way. If you're spamming abilities, you should run out of mana like pretty quickly.
So I guess at this point, do we want to move into like the third level of this discussion of why this affects 80 carries in particular?
Sure, let's take it back to the classic 80 carry whining.
Yeah, well, so
all
think
of us markmans do very
both
well.
Of these like potential issues with CDR and mana, and this is one of like the top comments in that thread, is that these effectively weaken 80 carries. Like if mana costs are low, if cooldowns are low, 80 carries are therefore weaker because their 0 cost, incredibly low auto attack cooldown is lessened, its impact is lessened because everyone else has equal level abilities going off all the time that they can cast as much as they want.
Well, not even equal, significantly
normally
greater.
Significantly stronger. And they've tried reworking crit. They did a lot with like energized auto attacks, and I don't think at this point you can you can never really rework attack speed. And if you change attack damage flat, like it's just better on melee characters because they have like better scaling in general and stuff like that. So I think like how do we remedy this is either like, we have to do something with mana or CDR, or we have to do some like real wonky shit with ranged only items for 80 carries to use to like equal it out. And I don't think they're in like a terrible spot right now. Albeit I don't play a ton of 80 carry. But, like, I think they're fine. I don't think it's, like, unplayable by any means. But I think this is, again, like, one of those things that is maybe one of those underlying problems that has been affecting 80 carries and why they have to keep trying to do weird shit to, like, even them out. But, yeah, right, like, if your auto attacks are up as much as, like, an Oriana Q, for 90% of the game, the Oriana Q is going to be way more effective.
Yeah. Honestly, there's very little time when it's going to be less effective.
Right, because even if you're like the 6-item 80 carry and you're critting for like 800, that's also a 6-item Oriana who's probably queuing for like 500-600.
Yep.
And she can hit multiple people.
Yeah, it's AoE. Yep. But yeah, I think that was a pretty interesting discussion that got brought up.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see some changes to address the real problem, which is mana, in my opinion, versus actual cooldown reduction.
I think CDR is a little bit too easy to come by.
I think so too, but I feel like addressing mana kind of addresses the other one.
I think it
then you
solves...
place less value on CDR if your abilities cost more mana.
Mm-hmm. But like I think I think my biggest issue with CDR is not that like it's too good. It's just that it's so easily available, and it's on every item that's like good.
It is on quite a bit.
It's on every item that's like that you're gonna want because they're like the good item anyway, even without it. And it's like, oh well, I can buy the 4 items I want, but I'll be at 60% CDR, or I can just like I guess take Transcendence and get a little bit more AP. Like it's almost like, oh, there's too much CDR flying at me from every direction, as opposed to like this is something I need to spec into. Where I think that's also a little bit of a symptom of like number of items in the game, because I think the same thing happens in a lot of cases where you're like, oh well, you don't really need to spec into lethality that much. It's just like these are just the good items. You're not really making a choice there. Like it's just that's what's the good one. So I think that there need to be like a significant increased number of items to kind of differentiate between that, right? Where you're like, well, this is the AP item that gives you mana, this is the one that gives you CDR, this is the one that gives you flat AP, this is the one that gives you magic pen, and this is the one that gives you like movement speed, or right, like, and it's tough to have like all separate items for those, but it feels like just all of the combinations just have CDR, right? Like it's like pick 2 things you want plus CDR, and it's never like, oh well, I have to go into this for the CDR.
Yeah.
And again, like, cool. With 10% being basically the minimum on everything, like, that's a quarter of your max. It's so easy to come by. I'd like to see more 5% items, honestly. I love when there are more 5% items in the game. Like,
yeah, 5% would be interesting.
Just because it's just like, hey, you get a little bit of it for free, and then if you want to build the high CDR items, you can. Like if you scaled all of the 10s down to, like, 5, most of the 20s down to 10, and then put in some, like, or left a couple like niche items at higher values to make people go into them, right? Like Warmogs doesn't need 10%. Like Knight's Vow doesn't need 10%.
No, but Frozen Heart should have 20%.
Right, yeah, because you're buying that primarily for the cooldown. I mean, I guess the armor and the buff are both real good, but like that was one of those back in the day where like, yeah, 20% CDR, gimme.
Yeah, but it makes sense on that item. That's a choice that one feels like a choice to actively like get cooldown reduction. But something like Zhonya's where you're buying it for the active or for the armor, CDR is just thrown in there. You're never buying Zhonya's for the CDR.
Yeah, right. And again, like if those are all 5% items, it's like, okay, cool, right? My base item gives me 10%. I get like 5% from my Zhonya's. And then it's like, well, I can sit here with like 15, 20, maybe 30 with my blue buff. But like if I really want to have 40% CDR all the time, I have to invest in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's cool. That discussion. Tune in next time to hear Aiden tell us why we were wrong about this.
No, I think this is something that he'd probably agree with. Or he'll just say, it's more fun when you cast spells. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. I think one thing I hate is like that there are resourceless characters. I don't like that.
I think it'd be fine if... I don't know. I don't know. The idea of it's fine, but I don't know how to balance it. And I don't know if Riot does either.
Hey.
So, but that's okay. Let's jump into Metakaiser. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about some of our favorite Nexus Blitz champs to play. Because we've been playing a lot of Nexus Blitz. Because we both have the pass, and it's my favorite game mode. It's fast, it's like pretty easy. Losses feel a little bad, but...
It's like a short investment, and again, if I'm not playing ranked, then I don't really like any game that's not ranked is a fun game mode for me. Where like I'm just goofing around for the most part. So it's just like more of that and more silly. Plus it's got those old items that are just they are broken, but they're real fun.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, I love being able to buy stupid broken items, and it's just like, get destroyed because I got this one item.
Yeah. Let's just knock out a couple builds. I'll start. I think Stat Stick of Stoicism Kaisa is hella fun.
Yeah,
I've only ever gotten 2, but the game ended instantly. But I got that first one and everything evolved, dude.
Hell yeah.
It was real fun.
Yeah, so I mean, like, do you want to go into specific builds or just like characters you like?
Yeah, like go into like because there are certain ones who are just fun to play on Nexus splits, but there are others who you play them because the build works.
Because
for
the
them.
build, okay.
Yeah. So if it's just a character, go ahead. By all means, like just take the character.
Yeah. So I mean, like, one of the characters I've only played like 2 or 3 games of it, but it's been real fun. Has been Syndra. Because she's just like she's good at dueling and being in these like high combat areas.
But she's also good.
But she's fucking so
Loot
broken at Loot Teemo and Loot Viger because you can just kidnap them and like hold them for the full duration, and then your W's basically back up. So like I kidnapped one from their inhib to our fountain. It was so funny.
How do you beat that? You don't.
You don't. Cho'Gath is really fun because you just get a lot of chomps off, and like people don't know how to deal with tanks.
Yeah.
I'll
I've been playing a lot of Garen. Scion's been one of my most fun.
Yeah, Scion's a lot of fun.
Like, I already think Scion's a fun champ, but Scion's a real fun champ when you just get to duel all the time. I learned that you can't use Spectral Cutlass while you're channeling your ultimate.
Yeah, you have to do it before, right?
You have to activate it before, yeah.
Yeah, so... Scion, his Q is so satisfying, right?
I remember when it first came out, everyone was like, this ability's gonna fucking suck. There's no way you charge it up. Scion rework is, I think, the most successful rework in League history.
It's real good. I would say Urgot was real good too, though.
Great champ. Like, I think, like, there are a couple really good ones. I would throw Gangplank out there as another,
that one went well, yeah.
10 out of 10 rework. But Scion will be at the top for me for a hot minute.
I think they're doing a real good job with reworks in general, and I just want more reworks because like there are a lot of champions that are old and feel old that I would like to see.
Yeah, and granted, like I can understand the other side of that where people fall in love with a specific play style. I know that a lot of old Zac mains don't like how the new Zac functions, but hey, they're not touching my champ, so gimme.
I've been playing a lot of Garen too, so at a certain point I was just like, I'm just gonna play bruisers that I have like low mastery on but like playing, so I can like grind mastery, because like you can't get your levels like 6 and 7 tokens in
yeah, but you can get up to 5.
Yeah, you can get up to 5. So I've just been playing a lot of that stuff and like getting my my experience up to get these characters all 5. I feel like should be my goal for when I'm not playing ranked, is just to grind champion mastery, because I want to get a lot. It's so weird like scrolling through after, because I've been playing the game for like 8 years now, and they only introduced mastery like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like yesterday or like this year.
Yeah, but like it's been out for a while. Right. But just you like look at characters and you're like, I play so much of this character. I used to play so much of this character, and it's like Mastery 2. You're like, oh, I guess I haven't played that character in like 5 years. Like, I've got like Mastery 2 on Morgana, and I'm like, I used to play so much Morgana, and like Sona.
Same.
And I'm like, no, I guess not.
Yeah. Actually, there are not a lot of characters that I used to play that I have low mastery on.
I feel like I used to play though, like every character.
But yeah, you used to play way more characters than I did.
I've mained most characters at one point in League history, and by mained I mean like played seriously for like a week and a half. But like I feel like that counts, right? Because like if you play characters or like if you play in as much as I normally play when I'm like really in it and like doing the ranked grind, like if you play a character for like a week and a half, that's probably Mastery 4 or 5.
You know, I feel like I have all the champions that I can say that I've mained are at least Mastery 5.
Alright.
But yeah. I can recognize that I might be an outlier. Anyway, back to the Metakaiser. Hey, Renekton is super fucking fun in this game mode, dude.
Yeah.
Get Sword of the Divine, full lethality. I've been loving like Sword of the Divine into Trinity Force. Make him more of a little bruiser instead of a one-shot machine. Going some Trinity Force, Titanic Leona, always fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think underrated. Swain, you always have all of your
Swain's super
your
fun.
passive stacks, and Thresh. You just get to fight all the time.
Yeah, dude, I played against a lane Thresh who went like Sword of the Divine, and I like solo killed him twice early, and then he got it, and he just started like kicking my ass. He also got like a quadra kill from my teammates being stupid, and he had Dark Harvest.
Oof.
But like after that, I was just like, oh, there's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah. Honorable mention to AD carries like Jhin and Jinx. I think Jhin is just like real fun. He's the bruiser of AD carries. And then Jinx, you're always popping off, dude. You're always excited.
So excited.
Which is fun to play as. Maokai, of course, bruiser.
Yeah, bruisers are fun.
And
like
then I'll finish.
Poppy's a good time.
I'll finish. Yeah, I played a couple Poppy games. She's real fun. Last but not least for me, I think Lissandra with her new passive. Whew, so fun. And you get to go Deathfire Grass Lissandra again, which is always a good time. Cool. Do you have any other suggestions before we close it out?
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, do you have any other suggestions before we close it out?
I'm trying to think here. Darius is pretty fun. Like I feel like a lot of the bruisers are just like fucked, but so good. Like they're really fun,
it's
but they're
just
so
constant
strong.
fighting.
Yeah,
It's just constant fighting, which is what bruisers want to do.
I'm looking through here. I think in general, like any character with strong knockbacks are really fun and silly because like you get into those Bart Royales and you just knock someone out of the circle. Like you Poppy ult them out, you Alistar boop them, or like Tristana ult. It's just so silly.
It is pretty silly.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's jump into the round table. Last week's question was, your Secret Santa is the champion that you last played. What did you get them for Christmas? These are all from Discord. Xmaster said, Jin, I'm getting him a therapist. Yeah. Dunkarino said, Ivern is being gifted a bonsai tree. Dave the Sejuani guy said, Vi is getting a punching bag, preferably one made out of something stronger than steel. Squantanamo, great name, is Jax, and he thinks he would get him a real weapon.
No, you're gonna break the
burrito.
legends.
Yeah, I've said it before on the show. A lamppost is a real weapon, dude. If somebody tried to beat my ass with a lamppost, they'd probably kill me.
It's a real weapon. It's just not like an optimized.
It's
weapon.
not. Yeah. That's a good way to put
right.
it.
Where
it's
it's
not
just
a sword.
like it's better than a lot, worse than a lot, but it's definitely a real weapon. Just like it's like a quarterstaff but heavier and a little bit more unwieldy.
Yeah, bulky. Yeah. Burrito 119 said Akali probably gonna get her some Final Fantasy stuff because she seems to really like gunblades. Johnny said www.scribble.io, which I assume is just a link that he posted somewhere he shouldn't. But hey, that's a good roundtable answer. Kua said Lee Sin is getting some style and glasses. Mega J Tion said Braum is probably getting stuff for Porios because he seems like the kind of guy to keep Porios as a pet. Lil Barnabas, the other Tart guy. Nico's getting a mood ring. And finally, the Big Deets is gifting Sivir more modest clothing. Girl's got to cover up a bit. She's going to be cold. Come on, bruh. Maybe some frisbees or boomerangs as well. So
White Knighting Sivir.
This he's my wife. You leave her alone. This week's roundtable question is: what is your favorite League-related memory of 2018? And I can go first if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe this came from episode 330, titled Mundo's Bag of Knives. But we talked about a Munda rework where you threw the cleaver and then pulled it out and it had some sort of extra effect. But I think that led into more fun discussions like Sin should do bonus stuff and you should just, as Mundo, you should just grab the champion and carry them around because they're stuck in your cleaver.
You can't pull it out. You should pick them up with the cleaver. I remember we had
super silly like
we had
that.
a long discussion about like reworking poison and venom, or at least I went on about it for like 10, 15 minutes.
No, I think reworking Poison and Venom is a great idea.
Yeah, and I think it'd be a great chance to come out with a new character that like really epitomizes it in a cool way. I'm just see what is my favorite League related memory of 2018. It's gonna be probably Warren talking while I'm trying to record.
Hey, that's fine. Life happens.
Yeah, no.
The only person mad is Aiden.
Yeah, right? There's nothing I can do about it, though, because he doesn't give a fuck when I tell him I am. Anyway,
You're good.
I think it's probably, honestly, that tournament we played, the ARAM one, where, like, our average game time was, like, 12 minutes. And there was the one game, they were all AP, and we just bought 5 Banner of Commands first item, and just smashed them. And they were just so mad.
Yeah, the secret strat.
Either that or
that was a good time.
Either that or the tournament where, like, I think Aiden smashed the guy on Tom Kench, and then he, like, pick it into him next game and it still got smashed or something. It was like, this character's OP.
No, so, we played in a tournament. We lost to the team that we'd meet in the final later, in the group stages. So they had already beaten us. They were talking a lot of smack. They ended up saying, like, oh, we're gonna 2-0 them real quick so we can move on, or 3-0 them real quick so we could go play other games. And then I was playing top lane at the time. We won game 1. I was playing top. We decided to swap for game 2 because Aiden played at the time a lot of Tom Kench top and is very good at that champion.
Yeah, and like I think it was also like what supports were open. We wanted you on support for it.
Yeah, I played Morgana, and it was one of those like, yeah, we can. I can play Morgana. Sure, let's put Aiden up top. Yeah, let's flex this. And we told him, and they were like, okay, yeah, whatever. Aiden absolutely dumpsters this guy. And then we start going into game 3. We're up 2-0. They're getting a little worried at this point. And then we just swap again, and Aiden still bodies him. And he ends up 1v2ing. They get really upset because they find out that Aiden and his cousin were master tier in
3v3s.
in 3v3, and they're like, "You're master in 3v3. You're master in 5v5."
Yeah, and this tournament's like no masters allowed. But like we had asked about it before we started the tournament, and like confirmed that it was okay. And then like the mods of the tournament were, I think, gonna come. They were trying to like turn back on their decision. Like you could tell that they were gonna come back on it, because like game 1, we're just like, hey, 2 of our players were master in 3s. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah. Are there solo queue master? No. And
No, I mean, it was one of those things where you could definitely tell that they went back on it, because I've never seen a 60-40 first place, second place prize split, and that's what it was. That was
a change I think they made for that.
But it was, that was a lot of fun. There's not many times when we get to like play super serious with 5 people. And overcome a little bit of adversity.
Dude, you know what the real highlight of that like couple weeks of tournaments was like
you playing exclusively Trundle.
Like I'm sitting over here in my corner, like Coach Coma is like, no, you play Trundle today, and I'm like, yes, sir, Mr. Coach, sir,
hey guys,
I'll play Trundle. And then like one game, he's like, no, Colton, today we let you out of your cage. You play Rengar on this game, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do it. And I run in, and there's 5 of them all huddled under a 2nd tier tower. Our team is like still mid lane, and I'm like, don't worry, guys, I got this. Dive in 1v5, kill the AD carry, escape. And they're just all like, wait, you lived?
That didn't make any sense.
Quinn
to
was
me
astounded.
So I feel like you barely killed their AD carry. Maybe because there's 5 people around you. But the Lulu didn't use any spells whatsoever. Granted, you killed her too quickly, but...
Got the AD carry, like, cleanse flashed out of there, and they were like, wait, what? That worked? Colton, you're still an idiot.
Yeah. It was I was talking about this with a friend today, where sometimes bad things or sometimes good things happen out of result of fucking awful plays, and it just negatively reinforces that play in your mind, where it's like,
yeah, but
it happened well last time, I'm gonna do it
no
again.
But like I would hope you would know that I know that, like, this is not the right decision here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm taking a 40-60 in the hopes of hitting that 40, or like that 30-70, because like we're in an okay spot and I'm confident in my ability to pull it off. Like, I'm gonna do something silly, flashy there.
No, I think you do a lot of things that you can recognize are fucking retarded, but it doesn't matter if it works or not. Or let me rephrase. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Because the one time it does, it's going to fucking look sick as fuck.
It's worth it then. Or it's, again, it's like a 30-70 or like a 40-60. And I'm like, I'm confident that my execution...
Those are good enough.
My execution's going to be better than them. Like, when I play Zillion, I take so many, like, 30-70s that shouldn't work. But then I hit, I take situations that should be 30-70s, but my results are, like, 70-30.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
It's great.
I guess that's why I'm D4, not higher rank. So, yeah. If you want to answer this week's roundtable question, you can reply via email, mail@ecastpodcast.com, Discord, in our podcast or in our roundtable chat, and I think that's it. I don't know if we've been posting the roundtables on Facebook recently. So
maybe that's not my department.
I'm not sure, but reply to those, and we'll actually we'll have a higher chance of reading them if we haven't shared them on Facebook, if that makes sense. Cool. Let's move into the cheese pick.
Yeah. So this is another build that's pretty fun on good old Nexus Blitz. Again, one of those this is really fun because of stupid items, which just Sword of the Divine enables so many silly, real fun builds. Like Sword of the Divine Jin, super good. Sword of the Divine Renekton. But one that I guess not a ton of people are doing is like Sword of the Divine Pike. It's because it's just like, if you get the Q, you get like 2 auto attacks basically for free, and they're probably low enough to ult. And he's just he's so mobile, and he scales off of lethality really well. And like just a little bit of attack speed is really nice when you're building him like pure lethality, where you actually get to auto attack more than the once with like the Drakthar Dark Harvest proc.
Yeah.
It just feels good and it's fun. And like when you get ahead on Pike and you're ulting them for like half HP and getting the execute, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. And it gives you lethality too. So that's exactly what you want.
We're gonna pair that up with Ebertom cheese. It's a traditional Czech hard cheese made from sheep's milk, and that's about as much as I know about it. And it looks pretty tasty. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It's like kind of yellowy with like a white center. It looks pretty tasty.
You know, I think we've had this conversation before, but I feel like I was presented with the option today. I think cheddar is extremely overrated.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think it's as good as... I don't think it is as good as the frequency... I don't think its goodness it matches its frequency. If that makes sense.
Like everywhere's got it, but it's not the cheese you're like, everywhere needs to have this.
Yeah.
I think
like everywhere should have Gouda. Everywhere should have Gouda.
Yeah, but Gouda's way more expensive.
Gouda's way more expensive. It's also way more like overpowering of a flavor.
I think that's why people like cheddar.
No
excuse.
excuse.
It's pretty mild. Like if it, again, normally it's like a medium or like, you know, not a hard cheddar by any means typically.
Yeah, not.
But
it's like
cheddar, real easy to put on a lot of things without issue. And again, it's like pretty cheap and available. And I think that's probably why.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's like American plus. Like it's just like American cheese, but just better. And people like are used to.
I see. I like American cheese.
Yeah.
I realize that it's not cheese. It's like American bullshit, but
yeah, right. But like people again, like they I think a lot of us at least, you know, grew up on like Kraft singles as like the cheese. Mm-hmm. And you're like, ooh, cheddar is just like the fancier, nicer version of this. You're like, yeah, there we go, put it everywhere. Mm-hmm. As opposed to be like, oh yeah, I want like this cheese I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess it's like, you know what you're getting with cheddar. Yeah. It's a safe fallback. Finally, because we don't have any emails this week, we have one single bit of news from the LCS, from LCK specifically, and that is Ambition is retiring.
Aww.
It's yeah, I feel like it's a pretty big LCK name, and you know it's gonna be a big loss in the community. But hey, happy retirement.
Yeah, and
which is crazy because he's like 23.
Right? He got his win though.
I believe he got his win 2 years ago with Samsung?
Oh, true, yeah.
Right?
I think that's right.
He was on that team, right?
I'm not sure.
How do we look this up? Aiden would be the one to fucking do this.
Yeah, he would be like 2 seconds, already have it. He'd probably already know.
Yeah. Oh Jesus, I can't.
Let's just assume that he got it.
Yes, I believe he won in 2016.
Yeah, but like he got his moment, right? And like I think that's what it mainly is. Like he hit his peak, and he's like, I'm happy with this. I don't need to like keep chasing after this dream.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him.
So
Good
cool.
for him retiring. I wonder if he'll become like a streamer personality, or if he'll just like. That's always weird. It's like
I think he'll probably end up as a coach. But go ahead.
No, it's just interesting seeing like those like pro gamers that like retire and then like just disappear from the face of the game. You're like, I wonder if they even still play.
I feel like a lot of them don't, because it took up such a huge portion of their life, and I don't think they can ever escape the like league is work mentality.
Yeah.
If that makes
Plus,
sense.
there's like that real shitty feeling of like I used to be so much better, and I feel like a lot of people like that had the mindset that got them to the point where they could play as a pro, like also have the mindset of like just I don't want to play this. I'm awful at it.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to play this unless I can be the best again. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that'll do it for episode 359. Thank you guys for listening. And if you like us, you can check out our Twitter at LeagueCast and at LeagueCastFrost. Follow us on Facebook, LeagueCast. Come talk to us on TeamSpeak, ts.leaguecastpodcast.com, or on Discord. And you can find that Discord link via email if you ask us, or on League, or get a friend to send it to you. MailLeagueCastPodcast.com is where you can send emails. You can check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/bluebasket and /KingLardOut. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/LeagueCast. Just a reminder that Patreon will be changing soon, and we'll be making an announcement to our patrons in particular. But yeah, and that we won't be here next week. We'll be here the week after, however. So enjoy your New Year's, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.
Bye.